We go. All right. Hi, I am Dawn Nocera, and this is the Advanced Toastmasters Online Toastmasters Club. And we are Advanced Toastmasters. Andrea, could you share your screen again? And we'll have somebody, I'd love to have somebody raise their hand and read the mission of the club right off the bat before I pass the meeting over to our Toastmaster of the day.
I can read it as the beginning of my Toastmaster time.
Okay, well, great. Then I will just pass it over to you, Pamela. And
it's not, just a sec. There it is.
Okay, we'll go back. It's not on the agenda, right? I mean, I didn't see it on the agenda.
It is on the agenda. It's the first thing. It's right here.
I didn't see it on the, okay, the copy that, I got a copy email of the agenda and it wasn't on that yesterday, saying I was a Toastmaster and here's who's doing what, but I didn't see that on the agenda.
Oh yeah, that's not the not the official agenda. That's just sort of a rundown of what we do as a club. So I think
so Andrea, are you pulling it back up or Andrea's now?
Pamela, I think we're.
I'll click on this link and I'll read it.
Yeah, currently there's just a Zoom page.
Right, yeah. An empty Zoom page.
Okay.
And I thought that was my.
There you go.
All right, you've got it. Okay.
All right, it's now lost, so I gotta try it over.
Okay.
Sorry.
Well, I'll see if I can find it.
I'm pretty sure I have it here, but.
Oh, here it is. All right, I will read it. We are an advanced Toastmasters club which supports maverick leaders to have more impact by providing advanced feedback on leadership skills and discovering what it means to be an out-of-the-box, innovative leader. That is the mission that we have for this club, and welcome to all of you. This is fabulous to have you all here. I'm so pleased to see you. Today we have two speakers and we have our support team who are going to help us during our project. So as timer, Rick, would you share with us what your responsibility is? You're muted. You're muted, Rick. We can't hear anything you're saying.
There, he's unmuted.
That's because I was muted. All
Yes,
right. My responsibility this early afternoon is to see to it the meeting runs on time. And when you reach the minimum time for your speech, I'll hold up the green card. When you reach halfway between the minimum and the maximum, I'll hold up the yellow card. And when you are complete with your time, it'll hold up the red card. And when you go 30 seconds over that, we'll kindly ask you to stop.
Thank you.
And that's my role this morning. Did you see the cards all right? It doesn't look so great to me.
Yes.
Okay.
And our speech times are 5 to 7 minutes for Marty and 8 to 10 for Jim.
Thank you.
Okay. Now Lori is going to be an evaluator, but she's also going to be doing all counting today. So Lori, can you share with us what your role is?
Absolutely, Madam Toastmaster. Today I'm the counter. I will be listening for filler words such as you know, so, and. I'll look for what we call a Xerox when you do a repeat. And if there are other filler words that are your favorites, I'll add them to my list and be giving a report. I'm just remembering now that I'm also the word of the day. I did not prepare one in advance, but I always have one in my back pocket. The word of the day is, can you read it?
Quest.
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 Quest. The word of the day is quest. I will use it in a sentence for you. All right, we are questing for excellence in our advanced online club. The quest is like reaching, yearning, and achieving.
Thank you.
It can be a noun or a verb. So I will be
Okay.
counting the uses of the word quest and also listening for other good or incorrect uses of grammar and giving a report, an entertaining report at the end of the meeting.
Great. Thank you, Lori. If you're not muted, would you please mute yourself? Thank you. Unless you're speaking, because there's background noise going on right now. Thank you. Okay, then that's it for our roles today. Thank you very much to Lori and Rick, who are new members, for participating, although they've been both Toastmasters for eons. We appreciate you being here, and Mark is going to be doing our general evaluation later in the meeting. Now I would like to introduce our first speaker, who is Jim. So I tried to print all of this out, and I couldn't get my printer to work. Our speaker is a registered professional electrical engineer, Kentucky, USA. Has always had a fascination with futuristic dystopian scenarios as depicted in the movies like The Matrix and Thunderdome, where society is not as bright as we might like. Technology is the function that will determine our future, and it's not too early to address the issue of using technology for good and preventing its use for bad. From the advanced manual, Speeches by Management, our speaker will be presenting project number 2, the technical speech. The objectives are convert a technical paper or technical material and information into a technical speech. Organize a technical speech according to the inverted pyramid approach. Write a technical speech as spoken language, not as an article. Give the speech by effectively reading out loud. With his speech entitled Campaign Against Killer Robots, please help me welcome Jim Adams.
All right. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Let me start out with a story. I want to follow 2 tracks to convey the information I want to share with you all. And that is, it started in 2012. Back in 2012 in South Africa, there was a platinum mine with about 129 workers that were protesting the fact that they weren't paid very much. The union was supportive of that. The owner of the platinum mine did not even entertain a meeting to discuss. So there was about a 5-day period where it was very tense at this one particular platinum mine in South Africa. At the same time, there's a group called the Firefox. They are a company that makes drones. In fact, retroactively speaking, they actually bragged that they had a drone looking above and over the mining area during this protest. And half hour after they had finished zooming over and looking at the protest that was happening, something had happened. I kind of questioned the fact that they stopped watching a half hour before. 34 people were shot dead. 78 people were wounded out of 125 mine workers that were protesting. That was in 2012 in a platinum mine in South Africa. In 2013, a group of people started a group called the Campaign to Stop Killer Robots. That's a very catchy title. I understand that. It's kind of funny, but that's the intent. It's just to get people to pay attention to the most important issue of what they consider in our world, which is the abuse of technology when it comes to things like the example that I just shared. That was in 2013. They weren't just a small Facebook group. They were a dedicated group of scientists from all over the world. They had petitions signed by all sorts of prominent people. They spoke with the Pope even to ask him if he could maybe make a statement. This is something that the United States public and probably a lot of the population in the world don't really pay much attention to, but it needs to be considered in light of today's technology and the warring factions around the world. So that was in 2013. They talked with the United Nations, especially the one particular group in the United Nations that deals with the getting rid of landmines. That seemed to have been the appropriate group for them to, I guess you would call, lobby, because they were outlawed, mines were outlawed, and they feel to the same for the same reason that these, what I'm calling killer robots, and I'll go detail in a second, should also be outlawed. The basic mission of a landmine versus the basic mission of a killer robot are one and the same, which is, for a mine, when it feels you, it blows you up. And for a killer robot, when it feels you or senses you or sees you, it shoots you. And you turn it loose into the arena of war. Hopefully it stays in that arena. As you can see, though, here we have a platinum mine, which is by no means an arena of war. And they do their thing autonomously. The argument is pretty straightforward when you look at it from that particular perspective. Now, back to that story of the guy that had the drone flying above that just ironically had stopped recording a half hour before the killings. He created, after that, a new product that he thought, and this was well-intentioned, something that could help in situations like this. He created another drone. The drone was called the Skunk Riot Control Copter R500. This is a real thing. This was to mitigate the issues of, I guess, strikes that go bad. And it's a very interesting device. This was in 2014 that it was created, and it's been sold all over the world. Imagine, if you can, a kiddie pool that's about 7 feet wide. That's about how wide this particular drone is. Imagine that there's 8 basketballs on the rim of this kiddie pool. That's about where the propellers are. There's 8 propellers, 8 16-inch propellers, and it can carry 100 pounds of payload. And it's got cameras, so the remote operator can look at basically what's going on. It has a microphone so it can listen what's going on. A speaker so it can speak to the crowd that it is hovering over. But it also contains blinding laser lights. It also contains infrared cameras, so you can spot people by their body heat signatures. And it also contains 4 what they call cannons. The 4 cannons are capable of shooting 1 to 20 rounds per second each. And since there's 4 of them all pointed in the same direction, they shoot up to, therefore, 80 rounds of what is ever in what's ever been loaded. So what do they load these with? They suggest that one of the guns that can hold 1,000 rounds should be loaded with red paint so that you can shoot a person and basically color them red so you know that they are holding a weapon. They also suggest maybe using another one of these to shoot blue paint so that you can identify the leaders of a group that might be the disruptors, that if you manage to control them, then you've controlled the group. And then, of course, you have your options of nerve gas or chemical weapons of some sort like tear gas, and also bullets, rubber bullets. So you have all these options that you can use for the benefit, the well-intentioned benefit of having people not die. But the fact that the mining company or a mining company of the many that are down in South Africa have purchased 25 of these, I can't imagine the visual of being someone that works in these mines and seeing, if not one, up to 15 to 25 of these, at least flying around once in a while for at least a test. I don't know how intimidating a 4-gun drone the size of a swimming pool that can carry 100 pounds might look to a worker in South Africa. I just wanted to share with you real briefly, if I can, what that might look like. There is one particular, let's see if I could do this. Yeah, there it is. One particular picture that I thought was pretty interesting. Can you guys see that? That is basically what the particular gunship, if you would, looks like.
We can't see it yet, Jim.
Yeah, there you go. So you can see the 8 propellers now, and you can see the cannons, you can see the cameras, you can see where it holds its payload. They sold 25 of these to a mining company. They've also sold them to Turkey, to India, and there are 5 countries, but we can't find out who the other 3 countries are that have made those purchases. So this is just the infancy of that particular type of drone application that I wanted to share with you all. So that's called the Desert Wolf, the Skunk Riot Control Copter. That was in 2014. In 2016, we've got new drones, obviously have been proliferating. One's called the Riot Control Drone Cyclone that shoots rubber bullets, pepper spray, tear gas, sound cannons. There's one called the Cupid drone that employs an 80,000 volt taser dart. So actually these things are now multiplying. They're still remote controlled, but we are at a point where they don't necessarily have to be remote controlled. And the whole question of whose fault is it if something goes wrong, we already have a plausible deniability with people that remotely control drones that can shoot Hellfire missiles. You know, they're once removed. Now we're going to be twice removed. So the question really is, who's going to be in charge? Who's going to be held accountable for those kinds of things? That was 2016. Back to the story of the campaign to stop killer robots. 2016 in December, the United Nations actually decided to create a government working group, the government expert working group on something they call the Lethal Autonomous Weapons Systems, otherwise known as LAWS, LAWS. So not only did, in 2013, these dedicated folks create a campaign to stop killer robots and then approached the United Nations. The United Nations has met for the very first time in 2017 in November. It was a very interesting meeting minutes that you can read. And they plan on meeting again in April as well to continue their discussions. This is very, very positive. I know it's a dark subject, but it's a very positive mission because basically we are where we are. And even though there might be manufacturers out there trying to sell these products, and there's probably lots of people. I come from a security industry where there's a methodology where you deter, detect, disarm, and these can also be accomplished simply by harnessing the creative minds of science fiction writers and scientists. They don't need to have existing weapons in order for them to tabletop and exercise and then come up with a foundation of technical wisdom that can in the future be used as a defense against these and to maybe deter them, detect them, delay them, and disarm them. So I just wanted to share that with you as a grassroots success story that now the United Nations is adopting this as a serious conversation that needs to be had around the world. And I'd love to share more of this with you as the meeting comes out next year. Thank you very much, Madam Toastmaster.
Thank you, Jim. Appreciate this. If you'd like to take a minute in the chat box, you can make notes for Jim. And while we don't want to have a silence, I will just share a little bit while you're making notes. You don't have to listen to me, so you don't have to multitask. But I was contemplating the out-of-the-box conversation, and some other language that I use for that is wanting to make things up, manufacturing ideas, concepts, creating what hasn't previously existed, feeling compelled to somehow create something that feels new or is edgy, some of the language that I use, or outside the box. Okay, this is great. Thank you very much for making notes to Jim. And now we're going to have our second speaker, who is Marty. Marty is a project manager and entrepreneur from Palm City, Florida. Today, Marty will deliver a message from project number 1 in the Entertaining Speaker Advanced Manual entitled, What the Heck is Data Crave? Please help me welcome Marty Green.
Thank you, Madam Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters. Why is your hand in front of my face? No, it wasn't a bully. It was my 7-year-old grandson on his iPad. He had called my wife and I on Sunday to chat with us on Facebook. He called from his room He wanted to talk to us by himself, and we were chatting for a while. My wife left the room and said, Marty, you talked to him for a while, and we were talking about baseball. He's a Little League player and having a great time. All of a sudden, I see his hand all over the screen. I'm thinking to myself, what are you doing, Bryce? And he said, I'm playing a game. At that time, I realized I was being multitasked. He was talking to me, but at the same time, he was playing a video game. I didn't even realize you could do that on an iPad, have two apps open at the same time. And I identified that horribly as data crave. What is data crave? It's the need to have stimulation and data coming at you even while you're performing some other task. It's people drinking and reading and listening on a phone call while they're watching a video, for instance. How bad is this problem? It's so bad that last Thursday was designated as National Single Focus Day. No, Single Tasking Day, sorry. Why would we need a National Single Tasking Day? Because everyone is multitasking. It's kind of like obesity. We know that 30% of adults are obese, and we know that child obesity is a really bad problem because when you become obese, you have metabolic syndrome and your body stops reacting to insulin sugar in a correct way, and it makes you sick. Well, data craving does exactly the same thing. It makes us socially isolated. This is what it was doing to Bryce, a 7-year-old. And it's probably what it's doing to us as well. Think about it when you're driving along and you're sitting, you see on the road next to you a person and they have their phone in their hand and they have their makeup in another and they're doing all these things while they're driving. You sit there and stay next to them, or do you get away as fast as you can? Probably the latter. I call that driving while craving. Nobody wants to be next to a driver who's craving. It's like driving while intoxicated, but really worse. It actually is one of the biggest causes of accidents now, more so than alcoholic. What's the impact? The impact is that it's really hard to get the message that somebody is trying to say when you know that they're distracted or when you're distracted. But what's the solution? If you are going to be a leader, and you're going to be a collaborative leader, and let's assume that you are because you don't want to be an authoritarian. In our day growing up, you could get away with being an authoritarian leader. People would follow you because we all were taught to respect our elders. Kids these days, millennials, are not that way. They want to be collaborated with. They want to be understood. If you don't believe that, look at the Parkland kids. They were hunted down, and everybody told them to shut up, but they are shouting louder than ever, and it's starting to reach because people want to collaborate. People want to be heard. And so if you want to be a mentor, if you want to be a coach, you need to be the best listener you can. Listening allows you to pull the message out of people. It allows you to pull potential out of people. It allows you to pull effectiveness out of people and allows you to teach them to be a leader. The opposite, if you want to be an authoritarian, it's a pushing mechanism. It's a cajoling method. It's a bullying method. Which kind of leader do you want to be? Now, there are different kinds of listening. It goes all the way back into the 70s. There used to be a book called Parent Effectiveness Training. And one of the things that they focused on was active listening. This was way back in the 70s. But what is active listening? Well, it was the idea to really focus on the person that's talking to you. But it wasn't really that clear. There was another version of that called Teacher Effectiveness Training, and because I was a teacher, I took that course. But later on, Stephen Covey incorporated it. He included it in his first rule, his first habit, which was seek to understand, then to be understood. John Maxwell calls it intentional listening. Bob Berg and John David Mann, in their books, The Go-Giver, call it listen to learn. And this is the one that really attracted me because I realized that if I could use listen to learn as a trigger, it would stop me from the digital craving. I could listen, I could focus, I could single task just by reminding myself to listen to learn. Now, the greatest gifts you will ever give someone, or that you will ever get someone, is to make them feel that they are being heard. Think about your own situation. Would you like to be felt like somebody is just off on their own while you're talking to them? Or would you want to be understood, to be heard? You can't be understood unless you're heard, correct? Well, think about that situation and think about how you would like to incorporate active listening, listening to learn, into your repertoire of coaching. Going back to Bryce, what really happened was we sat there together. He played his game for a while, and I said, Bryce, you're playing a game, and doesn't anybody pay attention to you? He said, no, really, no one ever pays attention to me when I play my game. Nobody ever visits me or spends time with me when I'm playing my games. So we made up that every Sunday, he's going to call me on FaceTime, and I'm just going to watch as he does this, and he plays his game. Madam Toastmaster?
Thank you, Marty. Appreciate that. Now let's have a minute to make comments to Marty in the chat box if you would like, to give him some feedback and provide insight on how well what you liked about his speech, maybe a suggestion for improvement. Because we are advanced Toastmasters, we have that option to provide suggestions for improvement. And great insights. Thank you very much for your speech, Marty.
Thank you.
One of my favorite topics, being heard. And then in a moment, I'm going to I have a quest of Rick to give me a timer's report.
Okay. Well, Jim was 10 minutes and 36 seconds, and Marty was 6 minutes and 37 seconds.
Okay, so 6 seconds over, Jim, but right close in the ballpark. Great, thank you very much. I appreciate that. And now it is time for table topics. So I'm going to give Andrea the control of our meeting. Shaking hands virtually, Andrea.
Thank you. Today I want to work on creating promos for our club. So I'm going to use our club mission statement, which I'm putting up on the screen once again so that you can look at it. We are an advanced Toastmasters club which supports Maverick leaders to have more impact by providing advanced feedback on leadership skills and discovering what it means to be an out-of-the-box innovative leader. And the reason I want to do that is because I want you to tell me different things about that statement that are important to you and why you are choosing to be in this club. So Todd, I'm going to start with you, and I'd like you to tell me what you think Maverick leaders are.
Welcome, everybody. Speaking from my car. I hope you can hear me. To me, when I think about innovative leaders, I think about those people that are first risk takers, that they're obviously good at listeners. They sense what's going on around them, but they have a very clear vision and sometimes an alternative path to get there. They may be criticized by people. They may be resisted by people. But their focus is on problem solving, and by building teams around them, they're able to marshal resources and take on the challenges that are before them. And throughout history, I've always kind of been interested in those people because I don't necessarily see myself as a revolutionary leader. I'm more evolutionary. And so I'm fascinated by those people that really seem to take on new challenges in a way that nobody else has thought about and been able to do that in ways that actually make a fundamental difference. So the leaders that I've noticed that really have impacted me are those people that take on those challenges and the ones that fight the conventions, but in the end really have fundamental lasting changes in the environments that they're working in. Thank you.
Thank you, Todd. Lori, you're next. I'm going to ask you, why do you want to be in an advanced Toastmasters club?
Madam Topics Master, I actually am a member of a in-person advanced Toastmasters club, and I'm excited to be a part of this club as well. There are several reasons why I want to be part of an advanced Toastmasters club. I'm very much involved in chartering new clubs and helping other clubs grow, mentoring other people for their growth. But I also need to grow for myself and improve myself. And I want to be with Toastmasters that are better than I am, who point out suggestions for me and whom I can model and learn from. That opportunity exists more in an advanced Toastmasters club than a regular club. Also, not necessarily practiced in this particular club, which I might bring up another time. Usually in advanced Toastmasters club, or at least in our district, the evaluations are 7 minutes. You give a 7-minute speech, you get a 7-minute evaluation, 2 to 3 minutes by the evaluator, and then opened to up to the group for a group evaluation. I know that we have our chat window, which gives an opportunity to get evaluations from other Toastmasters. But I'd love to have a conversation sometime with all the members of the club during the few minutes we have before or after a meeting to consider the possibility of perhaps extending our meeting from 60 minutes to 70 minutes and have time for longer evaluations in an advanced club. As far as I'm concerned, evaluations are the hidden gem in Toastmasters. Therefore, it's the area where I like to see us put a lot of time and attention in the course of a whole meeting, and I would love to see us incorporate more time given to evaluations in this advanced club. Madam Topics Master.
Thank you. Awesome. Dr. Worthy, I would like to have you, since advanced feedback was already brought up, I'd like you to talk a little bit about what advanced feedback means to you.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Table Topics Master. In our quest to become a refined public speaker, a leader, it is imperative that we organize our thoughts, our process around the fact that we cannot progress without evaluation, without feedback. It is essential for us to receive that insight because in the process, it enables us to do what we do better. We need to have insight. We need to know that people are listening to us. And through that process of listening, it reinforces the information that someone shares. I will accept the feedback from someone if I feel that that person has made a concerted effort to observe me, to listen to me, and is engaged in the process of interacting with me. There is a tacit understanding. There is a passive relationship. We, the speakers, articulate our thoughts, but we depend on the audience in order to gain insight into what we did well and what we can improve upon. Thus, feedback is critical. It is essential for us in order to grow, and without it, our quest is limited. Back to you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you. Good job. Don, I would like you to tell me what you think a maverick leader is.
Oh, yes. So thank you very much, Madam Table Topics Master. to me, a maverick leader is somebody who is just not afraid to be who they are. There's a level of authenticity, I think, that is essential to every speech, every evaluation. And I kind of miss it sometimes, but I tell you, it's what I strive for. I mean, I really want to be somebody who can be as authentic as I can be. And that means that I look at and I share the things that kind of tick me off, like what am I triggered by? What are those things? Like Lori was talking about her, desires to have evaluations that are longer, and not being afraid to say that, knowing that somebody might get offended. Somebody might have a different point of view. And within an advanced club like this, we're mature and we have this space that we can talk and we can listen to each other authentically and really give ourselves permission to show up 100%, even if that means I have to grow. Even if I say I'm not perfect and I really need some help. So that's my take on maverick leadership, is being authentic and saying my pain is here and also being surrounded by people who are just equally as authentic. Back to you, excuse me, Madam Table Topic Master.
Thank you. Jim, I'm going to ask you, because I can see that you're a leader with impact. So I'd like you to tell me how you think this club will help you have more impact.
Well, I walk a line on whether or not I use what could be defined as using a platform, and I don't want to come across that way, but I do echo Lori's. And Lori, you were not with us during some of the conversations previously about the need for and the desire in this club to have advanced evaluations. So I really think in my club, there's a couple of ways to answer these table topics questions. So I'm kind of redirecting a little bit here, but I do want to use this platform to get the feedback that if everybody that is giving me feedback knows that my desire is to be more effective out in the world on the things that I find I have a passion for, then maybe it's incumbent on me to convey that to everybody, and then what I'm looking for in my evaluations. So yes, technical skills and watch my hands and all that kind of stuff is great, but there's been some suggestions. For example, when I talked about this Toastmasters club that I wanted to start, I forget her name, but she actually dropped a suggestion for the name. I think it was Progressive Debaters. And just the fact that she was listening to me, I know this is a variation of, you don't talk about content, so maybe the 3 minutes is about the technical and stuff, but to have an extra element of an evaluation where if you've got supportive individuals like in this club that can share ideas and maybe give you some, I really find that that's going to be the way I will benefit the most out of this club is ideas. If they come, they come. And so far I've been very happy about that. So that's how I think I'm going to use this particular venue. Thank you.
There you go. We have enough time for one more. So Pamela, I'm going to ask you, why is being in an advanced Toastmasters club important to you? I'm going back to that question because I know you're in a regular club, and I'd like to hear what you think about being in a different kind of club.
I like being in an advanced Toastmasters club because I want advanced feedback. And I want to be participating with other people where we don't have to walk on eggshells because they're new. Right? We don't have to be super, super, super careful because people are new. And leadership is one of my greatest skills. And I want to be a better leader all the time. I need feedback for that. And I need feedback from other experienced leaders. Beginning people who aren't experienced leaders can't provide the kind of feedback I'm looking for at the level I'm looking for it. because they just don't have the experience to be able to share. They can share what it's like for them to be on the receiving end, but I want advanced feedback. I want feedback from people who are experienced in an area that maybe I haven't researched yet or haven't explored or haven't focused on yet, or I'm blind to. It's my blind side. So I really appreciate the authentic nature of the purpose of this club, and that to be a maverick leader, you have to be willing to take risks. And I like the risk-taking aspect of being in an advanced club. I think there's more permission to take risks in an advanced club than there is in a early club because of the nature of the people here. So that's what matters to me, is being able to focus on what it is that really, really matters to improving our leadership and improving leadership and improving even speaking skills. So thank you, Madam Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Pamela.
We have time for one more because we have about 4 more minutes till we start the evaluation process.
Okay. So, Rick, as you listened to or read the mission statement for this club, what do you think jumped out at you, and why is it helping you?
Thank you, Madam Topics Master. I think what came up for me is when I saw the word maverick, it made me think of something innovative, that we were actually doing something that has not been done that much before. I know for myself, some of the skills I need to improve on is online, being actually able to communicate well online and not be in front of an audience. When I am in front of an audience, I have extremely good vocal variety, I have good body movement, but sitting here doing something online and doing something different, to me, is a huge change from what I'm used to. And that is something that I want to pick up from and grow by being part of this. Secondly, being part of an advanced club of this nature, I hope to get a lot of feedback. To me, positive feedback is gifts, things I can improve on. Not just, oh, you did a great job, but things I can improve on to be able to do a better job. So being an advanced Maverick Club, to me, is an important part of the journey that I am here to take with everyone else that's here. So far, I'm enjoying this little experience I've had, and I really hope to get to meet each and every one of you so that we can continue that journey and all of us grow together. Madam Topics Master.
Thank you. I'm going to move on to our general evaluator, who is...
Can we do a timer's report first?
Oh, sorry, timer's report. Rick.
Timer's report. Okay. Andrea started the table topic session with 54 seconds. Then Todd was 1:24. Lori 2:18. Mark 1:27. Don 1:49. Jim 1:51. Pamela 1:40. And myself 1:36.
Thank you. Yay. And now to our general evaluator, Mark.
Thank you very much. I think it's important. We've heard terms used today, feedback, listening. It's extremely important. As the general evaluator, my role is to speak on every aspect of the meeting from beginning to end, that which was done well, and those areas of improvement. As members, listening is critical for us, especially as speakers, as we engage in this quest to enhance our skills, to learn new skills. The process of evaluation is critical for our growth and development, and I would now like to call on the evaluator for Jim's speech. I believe that is Lori. Would you please unmute yourself, come forward, and provide not only Jim with your commentary, but enrich the club.
My pleasure, Mr. General Evaluator. It's my privilege to be evaluating Jim's advanced speeches by management, project number 2, the technical speech. Objectives for the speech were to organize a technical speech in an inverted pyramid approach and to deliver the speech as spoken language, not as a written article, and to give the speech effectively reading it out loud. I thought that Jim did an excellent job. He first spoke about the campaign to stop killer robots and then dove into the details on a drone with an illustration. So he started with recommendations and analysis and then details, which is that inverted pyramid approach. His speech was definitely delivered in a way that was supposed to be listened to. It didn't sound like a written speech. It was more conversational. And he had a good balance of reading occasional facts with making lots of eye contact with the audience. So he handled that very, very well, this issue of reading a script and delivering it. I didn't feel like he was reading at all. I thought that Jim had excellent gestures. I seem to have had the same problem last week. Sometimes his gestures went beyond the screen. We couldn't see them. It's a limitation in our Brady Bunch video boxes that we have here. But I could tell that Jim was in fact using his hands and being very expressive. I also felt that his presentation was very interesting and delivered with a lot of enthusiasm. A few suggestions I have for Jim for improvement. One is that he might be unaware that he does this swiveling motion in his chair while speaking, and I found that to be very distracting. It would be the equivalent of pacing if he were walking. So something to pay attention to. Also, I thought that Jim spoke very clearly, but due to low network bandwidth message that we were getting, sometimes what he was saying was inaudible, at least for me. I don't think the low network bandwidth was on my end. I think it was on his end. So there are, in fact, a couple of times making a key point that we missed. But overall, I thought Jim did an excellent job of meeting the objectives of the speech and sharing with us a very interesting and informational topic. Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Lori. It's important for us to consider various aspects of what we do and how we do it, especially being seated. And you were able to help us understand that process. For our second speaker, Martin Green, I understand that Dawn is the evaluator. Dawn, can you unmute yourself and provide commentary?
Yes, I can. Thank you very much, Mark. And I am going to make sure that I can see Marty in my view before I get started. Marty, I enjoyed your speech. One of the things that I just wanted to start out with was you had great use of your hands. When you did this in front of the camera, it was an effective use of using this online environment and staying within the space within the Brady Bunch box. Thank you for that analogy. But we could see what you were doing, and I felt your presence was good. And were you standing up when you were doing your speech? No, it actually had a feel that you were standing up. And you might want to try that the next time. Just figure out how to get your computer up a little bit and try it, because I feel that would add to an already great speech. One of the things that you did was you started this with a story. You started us off with a story of your grandson. That's how the hands in the face got there. And through the story of your grandson, you helped us see how a great leader actually connects. And that felt really good. And also you gave us some contrasting elements of how leaders don't connect, right? There's, the authoritarian push those people away kind of leadership. And you gave us that contrast. And in the end, you wrapped it back up again with the story about your grandson, and you brought us back around so we could feel that connection to you, your passion for leadership, for your grandson, and just you giving yourself permission to say, I am a leader. And I do know what I'm talking about. And that's what I kind of felt like underneath this speech, what was going on for you. I commend you for checking off all the boxes on your evaluation form, which I will send you very happily. And for giving a speech that I could recall, even though I actually thought I was going to be evaluating Jim. So I felt very happy that you gave a speech that I could remember, even though I didn't take notes. My notes were this little, and there were parts of it that I was like, yeah, I remember what he did. I remember the stories. I remembered what his point was. And I think that makes for a great speech. And I look forward to more of your speeches on leadership. Back to you, Mark.
Thank you very much, Madam President. I would now like to call on Mr. Timer so that he can give us the results for the evaluations, please.
Yes, Mark, you opened the session with 56 seconds. Lori's evaluation was 3 minutes and 9 seconds. And Dawn, 2 minutes and 54 seconds.
Thank you very much. Now, it is extremely important for us to understand our use of language as well as our dependence or non-dependence on crutches. Madam Accountant Grammarian, would you please provide us with your commentary on our performance today?
Sure, Mr. General Evaluator. As grammarian, I heard a couple of incorrect grammatical uses. Rick said, it will hold up red card, when I think he meant I will hold up the red card. And he said, some skills I need to improve is, and it would be are, plural. Marty mentioned he called my wife and I. In this case, it would be my wife and me. It's the object of the verb. Two uses that I did like were myself and Dawn saying the Brady Bunch analogy. As far as using the word of the day quest was used 4 times, once by Pamela and 3 times by Mark. For my all counters report, brace yourself for my song. Pamela, as Toastmaster, had 2 nows, 1 so and 1 and 1 okay. Rick, as timer, had 1 okay, and Jim, as speaker, had 4 ahs, 1 now, 2 so's, 3 ands, and 1 false start. Marty, as speaker number 2, had 1 ah, 2 so's, and 3 ands, and 4 false starts. Andrea, as table topics master, had 1 ah, 2 so's, and 1 false start. Todd, as topic speaker 1, had 1 ah. For myself, as topic speaker 2, I heard 1 false start. And Mark, as speaker 3, had 1 ah. Dawn, as topic speaker 4, had 1 1 so, 1 and 3 really. Jim, as speaker number 5, had 1 and. Pamela, as speaker number 6, had 3 so's and 1 and. Rick, as speaker 7, had 1 so and 1 false start. Mark, as GE had one false start, followed by my false start also. Dawn, as our evaluator, had one and two false starts. And that's the end of my report, Mr. GE.
Thank you very much, Madam Counselor Grammarian. I really appreciate the manner in which you delivered your report. At this stage, it is my opportunity to provide some commentary about the proceedings today. Did we start on time? We started in advance. We started at 11:55. I applaud the president for seeing that opportunity and galvanizing us so that we could move forward and proceed with the event. The evaluators for the speeches did an excellent job in adherence with the quote-unquote sandwich method, and I believe that as an advanced club, people come to these meetings skilled, ready to deliver, and do so. I appreciate that each evaluator was able to take great care in articulating what the speaker had done well and provide those areas of improvement thereafter, closing on a positive comment. Table topics was excellent. I appreciate the theme, the concept, the care that was taken with the questions. Additionally, I counted 7 respondents, and that means that almost everyone in the meeting today was called upon and provided a response to the questions that were fielded by the table topics master. This was quite stimulating. I appreciate the focus on being an advanced club, the focus on speaking out of the box. Our counter grammarian, fascinating. Thank you very much for the detail that you provided, and also singing the responses to us. I think sometimes we find those little ways in which to add something to the meeting, and you chose to do so today, and I was pleased with it because it kept my attention. You held my attention, not only in the mellifluous of your voice, but also in terms of the detail that you provided. This is an advanced club. This, for me, was a stimulating meeting. In terms of some area of improvement, I do believe that the technical issues, that there's a technical concern I have. I wasn't always able to hear everyone, and I think that can be addressed in another setting through another discussion. I'm pleased with my participation. I'm pleased with the participation of others. People come here, I like to use this term synergy. People came together, understood their roles, took on other roles, and operated in a manner that would make this a successful event, and it has been done. I look forward to participating on a weekly basis. We bring to the table our goals, our aspirations, our desires, and our skills. The Toastmaster reference what it is to be in an advanced club, and we reflected that today. On that note, I would like to yield control back to our Toastmaster today, and I thank you.
Thank you very much for that report, Mark, and all the evaluations and everybody who's supporting each role that happens in this club to make it successful. Okay, now we are back to our president, Madam Dawn Nocera.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This was a great meeting. And I want to ask Rick, since I know he gave us our table topic. Are you still here, Rick? Yeah.
I am.
How did you enjoy your first meeting as a member?
I'm just looking forward to being more and more involved.
Yeah, awesome. And Lori, how about you? Were you able to give us your feedback last week? I don't remember.
I think
we got to check out.
I enjoyed the meeting. I did a little better today knowing how to set up the gallery. So I'm learning how to navigate this online way of doing things. Yes, very much enjoying the meeting
Great.
and
And
everyone's participation.
I wanted to commend you, Andrea. Again, thank you so much for being a great mentor. She's our club mentor, just in case you don't know that. She's here, and the request that I have given the mentors and the sponsors, Pamela's a sponsor as well as Trisha, is that they help me hold the vision of this club, because that's the highest service that they could provide for me personally, is to help keep that in integrity and move us forward. And I have got some rock star leaders doing that. So thanks, Andrea. I'm going to do a screen share and go to our agenda for next week.
Before we go to the agenda, I wanted to make 2 comments based on
Sure.
things I heard related to our being an advanced club. One is, one of the differences that I've learned between an advanced club and a regular club is that in an advanced club, when we give an evaluation, we can comment on content, where for a newer Toastmaster, we mostly focus on delivery. In an advanced club, we can make comments around content that would help the speaker be more effective in the message that they're trying to communicate. And also, I would like to challenge members of the club to consider doing evaluations in the third person. As Mark pointed out, when he introduced me as an evaluator, he wanted me to share my insights for the benefit of the speaker and all the members of the club. When we deliver an evaluation in the third person, then it really is, we're speaking to everyone in the club, especially when we talk about improvements, so that the improvement isn't directed at the speaker. It's really for everyone to benefit.
Could you give us just a quick example of how that would look at while I
She did it. She did it today.
Sure.
Well,
so if I'm talking about Jim and I'm saying what he can improve, instead of saying, Jim, what you can improve upon is, and I do you, that's speaking just to Jim. But if I stay in the third person and I say, what Jim can improve upon is, Jim can do this and Jim can do that, then it's staying in the third person. And when we speak in the third person, we're not directing it you just to the speaker. So it's avoiding the word you.
Got it. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. And you guys can keep talking while I pull this up. I would love to hear more. And actually,
So I just wanted to add also that as a Toastmaster, I liked having the email come to me from saying all these people are available and here are their emails, so that I could send emails to people ahead of time and ask them to fill roles, which I did last night. So I really like that I had access to that as a Toastmaster, because getting onto the website isn't always obvious to me about how to do that. So it made it so that a lot of the roles were filled before people got on today. And I also just wanted to thank Lori for doubling up today.
Sure.
I have something to add also. As when we get to the end of somebody speaking and we're handing off, watch what happens to the hands. For when you're clapping, it distorts in front of your face, and it's very distracting for someone who has a problem. It would be helpful to me if you did the deaf yay wow instead of clapping, because I literally have to close my eyes because it's so distracting for me, because many of this how your bandwidth makes your hands twitter weird in the screen. So it would be helpful for me if you did something a little bit different.
You mean like this? Because your screen's been freezing, so
yeah,
we haven't seen what you were just doing.
Yeah, it freezes up, and your face starts distorting and doing weird things when you put your hands in front of your face and start clapping. So that would be helpful to me.
I also have one thing I'd like to suggest. It's just something that we do in our club that came from, believe it or not, Africa. One of our members is Ajahn Mbotang, so he goes to visit, he comes back, and he told me that and we've implemented this in our club, the use of the word of the day. We acknowledge that during the course of the meeting with finger snaps. That way you're not interrupting, but you're acknowledging without too much interruption in the meeting, and people understand that, hey, the word got used again. This is a great venue for sign language, similar to what Andrea is saying with the waving of the hands. I think I'd like to suggest that if we do hear the word of the day, we can maybe do this. We all kind of acknowledge visually that we've seen or heard the word of the day, and might be something that we could employ.
That's great.
Yeah, I think if we can do that as we feel inspired, and it also kind of gets us into that space of remembering to listen. I tend to take notes a lot. So like I'm in a meeting, I'm oftentimes taking a lot of notes. So this would be a great way for me to get back into the meeting, let the speakers know that I am paying attention, even though I'm taking notes. So do we have a Toastmaster for next week? And you'll have to speak up, because I'm right now, since I'm screen sharing, I can only see 5 people at a time.
I can be the Toastmaster.
Andrea, awesome. Yeah. And is anyone prepared? I'll go to the speakers before I go to the counter and the timer, but is anyone prepared to speak next week?
I'd like to do a 15-minute speech next week.
Okay, Pamela.
Get my advanced leader bronze again.
Okay, so
it's going to be a leadership speech. I don't know which one. I'll let you know.
Okay. And you said 10 to 15 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. And does anyone else have a speech that they want to give next week? Mark? Okay, we'll put you down.
I can
Thank
speak.
you.
Yeah.
And is yours going to be 5 to 7 minutes, Mark?
Yes, it will be. It's
okay.
going to be, actually, it's going to be a follow-up to the icebreaker within effective coaching.
Okay.
So it's in principle, it's 4 to 6 minutes.
Oh, okay, good.
4 to 6 minutes. Okay.
Yeah.
That sounds great. And do we have an evaluator for Pamela who would like to do a advanced evaluation for Pamela's speech next week?
You're at backup speaker right now on the screen.
Okay. I'm looking over here on the side as I'm scrolling down. So anyone want to do that? Oh, I'm listed as general evaluator. So I can do that.
Sure, I can.
You're going to,
sure.
Okay. Great, Jim. You'll be evaluating Pamela. And do we have an evaluator who would like to evaluate Mark's speech next week? Okay, we can keep it open.
This will be pathways too.
Okay. And Mark, you know how to get on the website and fill in your information, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I do.
Super.
It's a Pathways icebreaker?
Yes, it's effective coaching. So it will be the second evaluation. The first evaluation will be delivered this week, and I will forward it to the second evaluator, so that he or she has that information, and compare and contrast if possible.
So it'll be the same speech? Are you doing the same speech
That
again?
is correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
I like that Pathways does that. Lets us
I do too, very much so.
the same speech more than once. Not lets us, but makes us. So that's great. And how about a topics master?
I can do topics master.
Awesome. Thank you, Rick. You are the topics master. And do we have anyone else who would like to fill a role before we end here? Lori, it's after
I can be a backup speaker.
A backup speaker? Got it.
Because I'm competing that next day in a contest, so I'll have my speech ready.
And are you aware, Lori, it's 5 after?
Yes, my meeting was canceled.
Awesome.
Yay!
Yay.
I've been keeping an eye on my work stuff occasionally. and
Good.
I
I
need
just,
to be canceled, so.
just wanted to make sure. And then you can
Thank you.
fill out this, your manual path and your title.
Sure.
And if you put down your evaluations within the agenda on the website, it populates that for the Toastmaster for the following week. So you don't have to do that again. It actually pops up so we can click on. I will even show you where this goes on the website. You can,
Did you save this before you leave the screen?
oh, that's a good idea. Thank you. I need lots of people helping me. Thanks, Pam. But if we go up here to the agenda, and you can click on where it says speech introductions, and it'll just pop right up, and it'll have the speakers names up there and
The introduction.
their introductions. So Lori, for you, since you're a backup speaker, you might have to do that individually as well. You might have to forward that to the Toastmaster.
Okay.
Anyway, so this is great. I'm going to stop screen sharing. We have got that all together, and I
And you
appreciate
can
another
stop recording also.